Imagine, if you will, the scenario. You go about life for the first 9 months of the year without a care in the world, frolicking through the fields of green, and overall having a good time of things. But before you know it, September ends and the spooky season is upon us. Not only did you forget to wake up Billy Joe in time, but now you're up at fucking creek without a paddle, because you didn't compile a number of fine horror games throughout the ages into the form of a tier list to find out what you need to play this October. Well, you're in luck, my friend, for you see, I, prolific YouTuber Dale Jackson06, have uploaded just that tier list to YouTube, and just for you. But before I start, here are my 4 rules for this video. First, the game must be publicly available on Steam, my store of choice. Second, I'm not going to do multiple games from the same series, at least not in the same video. Third, I'm going to try not to include games that everyone and their dog has already reviewed. I want to keep it interesting. With all that said, the most important rule to remember is as follows. I'll rate each game's quality via pros and cons, but the tier list itself will strictly be based off spookiness, scariness, and general potential for heebie-jeebies. First on our list is Corridor 7 Alien Invasion, which originally released on May 20th, 1994, and normally costs $10 on Steam. It was made by Capstone. You play as this funny fellow with a gun that's just slightly too short, and you're trying to clear your entire ship of the invading alien presence. Why are the aliens invading your comically shaped ship, you might ask?
We've uncovered something. Looks like an alien artifact.
Well, it's simple. Much like every other alien-themed horror property ever created, it starts with human beings unearthing a strange alien artifact and immediately taking it home with them. But, surprise surprise, messing with the artifact draws the ire of some well-armed alien creatures. And we're into it. Visual settings? Man, talk about old school. This game came out long before DLSS, ray tracing, or even the days of adjustable quality, it seems. Hopefully my computer can handle it on max settings. Alright, audio. Damn, it's feast or famine. It's got more volume options than anyone could ever need. Line in. What, can I talk the aliens to death? The fact that the sliders are all set at arbitrary levels by default is really the cherry on top. Just goes to show how easy it is to take the basic standards we have today for granted. There are also a surprising amount of difficulty options. At first I thought they increased in difficulty as you go down the list. Then I realized that's only true for the first 4 options. President adds a randomizer to all spawns in the game, very ahead of its time. And the rest are used to set up an online game. I expect this to be a bit tricky, so I went with the easiest difficulty. Immediately, it's easy to draw parallels between this and the original Doom. Unfortunately, Doom looks, sounds, and overall feels better than Corridor 7. Despite the fact that it came out 6 months earlier. They did have some originality though. Instead of needing a blue key from a specific location to open blue doors, like in Doom, you need to activate a blue panel in a specific location to open blue doors. Truly groundbreaking stuff, that. This big red floating alien skull was unexpected and had a radical design. Other than that though, there's really not much to say. 99% of the enemies I encountered were these floating eyeballs.
Elevator clearance acquired.
I also like how it lets you get on the elevator to the next level without even killing all the aliens. It's not like that's the whole objective of the game in the first place. I guess leaving a small handful of killer aliens on my ship is no big deal. Man, who would even fund a game like this after Doom had already come out? Oh, actually, yep, that explains everything. Honestly, even if you're into these DOS shooters, I wouldn't pick this one up, if for the price alone. It's just not that great, and not very spooky, unless you're particularly scared of empty hallways or the color blue. And as for the 30 years of horror tier list, this game gets a D. Taking the second spot on this prolific list is Realms of the Haunting, developed by Gremlin Interactive. The internet can't seem to agree on one consistent release date, but most posit it came out sometime during 1996. Today, you can pick it up for $3 on Steam. It opens with this totally radical 90s 3D animation. There's no sound besides background music, and I don't exactly understand what's happening, but I like it. And suddenly, boom. Realms of the Haunting. Finally, this mystical blade transitions into the true beauty which resides within this game. Full motion video. We find our hero sitting embroiled in a string of non-sequitur, not-so-silent contemplation. I'll let him explain it himself.
My father died 6 months ago. Since he and my mother divorced, we'd had our problems. I hadn't seen him as often as I'd meant to. You know how it is. My father was the pastor at a Cornish village. He was well liked, had time for everyone except his son. I can't explain it, but lately I've begun to dream about a house.
And then it shows you that he's actually been dreaming about a host of vile creatures, strange dudes, and mystical symbols, with the house being by far the least remarkable, irrelevant, minor footnote to categorize such intense dreams. And then he dreams about a pretty lady.
I had other dreams at that time, too.
And then the priest came to see him.
And the priest came to see me.
And then he said
his name was Elias Camber. Apparently, he and Dad met at a conference a couple of years ago and kept in touch, off and on, by letter. Father had discovered something about a strange house on the outskirts of the village. Something terrible.
But then it turns out
almost all of what Camber told me was a lie.
Oh.
I ignored the whole thing for a while.
But he can't ignore it, because, yeah. So
2 days ago, I opened the parcel. Fragments of some carved objects. I'm none the wiser for what they might be. I do know they're powerful.
With that, you use your Herculean strength to slam the poor taxi driver's car door, and then it's into the house.
So here I am. I feel I've been brought here by something. I don't know what it is.
What?
Or what it wants.
It is a lying priest by the name of Elias Camber, and it wants you to come to the house. He told you that himself. Oh well, at least this game brings on the horror nice and early. Took me a rewatch to even see what was supposed to scare you in that scene. Not that I would ever denigrate the visual work of the great Les Spink. I know I've been making fun of it a bit, but I really do like the campiness of this game. There's just something classically fun about traveling to a big, spooky mansion full of mysterious paintings and underground passageways. It's also an interesting use of FMV over pre-rendered backgrounds. It gives all the cutscenes this characteristic look. And of course, we're locked in. Shadows. Oh, man, they weren't kidding. Maybe there's a button to brighten things up, huh? Let's see, this one's strafe. That one turns off all the textures. Ah, there we are. Much better. Oh, hey, I got maybe a big raisin. Alright, it was fun while it lasted, but I need normal gamma again to actually review the game. Without giving too much of the story away, I would describe this game as a cross between a point-and-click adventure and a classic Doom-style shooter. There are plenty of hidden items to find and texts to glean lore from, but there's also a scene where you mow down an army of skeletons with a pump-action shotgun, so you really do get a little bit of everything. And while old, awkward control schemes are usually a detractor,
Looks
this
like
game
someone
fits
left
in
the window
perfectly with the
open.
narrative of some American dude stumbling around a haunted mansion in England, punching out all the windows.
Ceramic vase.
And shooting 400 rounds of live ammunition indiscriminately. It's a game full of deep, spooky passageways, haunting, ghostly appearances, and weird-looking seagulls. Not to mention a few truly chilling death scenes. Put it all together, and you got yourself a game that I would highly recommend you try out. It's cheap while having a great depth of gameplay, intriguing puzzles, and a tense, uneasy environment punctuated by some genuine moments of horror. It honestly feels a lot like a goofier precursor to the first Resident Evil game, and the pure, classic horror campiness of it all brings this game to an A on the 30 Years of Horror tier list. And if you think that's too high, this one final cutscene just might change your mind.
Give me one good reason. How about this? Next time, boy, it is you that shall come to me. On your knees.
Next up on our list is Doom 64, a horror shooter developed by id Software and released on April 4th, 1997, which retails for $5 on Steam today, when it's not on sale. You might not think it looks much like a horror game, but the first thing you have to do is enter a binding legal agreement with a large corporation. Now that's what I call horror. Once you actually get into the game, it looks great, while needing very little in the way of computational power. Even on decades-old computer hardware, this game could run flawlessly, making it a go-to for gamers on a budget. The levels get more difficult as you play, with stronger enemies and more maze-like layouts. Along with the myriad shooting sections, there are a number of keys, items, and secret areas that require you to complete puzzles in order to progress. There are also some tricky, high-speed platforming sections that add even further variety to the gameplay. The slippery movement makes them tough. But when you actually nail it, it's that much more satisfying. The only real complaint I can come up with after playing through about half the game is, there's one particular visual effect in one of the early levels, which is possibly the worst I've ever seen. Other than that, the diversity of enemies and level design keeps things interesting. And although it isn't packed with jump scares, the ambient, hellish environment provides a creepy atmosphere. To be honest, I've always sort of assumed these older Doom games didn't have much to offer when compared to modern shooters, but I couldn't have been more wrong. If you get the chance, I'd highly recommend this game. However, on the 30 Years of Horror tier list, I get to see. It's just not very scary, especially since you play as a super soldier. Next, we have Postal. It's the only game on the list with an age warning at the beginning. You know, kids probably weren't meant to play those last 3 games, but this one, it's strictly off limits. Too much, quote-unquote, graphic and senseless violence. Postal was released by Running with Scissors on November 14th, 1997, and currently costs absolutely nothing. You play as this guy who is completely insane and thinks that the world itself hungers for the blood of the innocent. Now, I would wager that if any of you have heard of Postal, it was from one of the later entries in the series, where they realized it would be beneficial to use goofy humor to counterbalance the aforementioned graphic and senseless violence. Granted, I don't know how many people would be truly horrified by the graphical presentation of this game. Even though you're in control, the isometric camera positioned about 60 feet away from the player at all times makes it feel more like a distant observer. But the subject matter of this game is probably the darkest you'll find on this list. You get no explanation behind your goal of mass shooting as many people as possible. You just walk out of your front door one day and kill everybody. See, the past 3 games have had you fighting aliens, ghoulish creatures, and demons from hell. These are all things I would put into the fun, spooky category. A random dude with ultra schizophrenia deciding to commit mass murder to cleanse the earth is something I would put in the not fun, scary category, mainly because it can really happen. I'm not saying you can't discuss these things or make games about them, but make it have a point. Beyond anything else, this game is just devoid of a point. There are a couple goofy elements, but again, there's not that same constant over-the-top comedy that makes later Postal games interesting. Without that, all you have is an aged B-list arcade shooter that takes over 3 hours to beat 100% if you move slow. It honestly feels like the only reason they made this so edgy and controversial was to actually give people something to talk about, in hopes of making the game a little less forgettable. Still more fun than Corridor 7 though. And to be fair, there are definitely a few elements which showed the future potential of the studio. It is free on Steam, so try it to your heart's content. I'm just not sure you'll get much out of it.
Stop shooting, you sick bastard! I'm already dead!
But the realistic horror concept will get another A on the 30 Years of Horror tier list. Okay, and it is pretty funny to see 40 saxophonists go up in flames while you spout overlapping one-liners. Next is a Capcom title I hadn't heard of before making this video. Onimusha Warlords, released January 25th, 2001. That's right, we've reached the current millennium with this $20 entry. Granted, I'm playing the remaster. I do always like seeing PS1 graphics upscaled to Ultra HD. You get to view the models in higher detail than even the artists themselves did back then, which is particularly great for a horror game full of rotting bodies and demonic creatures. I'm worried I'll give this one too much unfair praise just by comparing it to everything else I've played so far. This is gaming brought to the modern age. Even when not compared to the likes of Corridor 7, the animation and gameplay feel exceptional, especially for the beginning of 2001. This battle scene is definitionally radical, and you get this right from the title screen. Then, the dramatic reveal of our hero. Salmanosuke. And don't worry, in the first 5 minutes, then make sure you remember his name.
Dear Samanosuke, 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 Samanosuke.
Samanosuke. Samanosuke. Wake up, Samanosuke.
You get the idea. Our hero, Trautosuke, has been tasked with rescuing fair Princess Yuki from a supernatural bind. But we're not quite powerful enough yet.
With your current power, you are not capable of destroying the demons. We will give you our powers. We are the clan of ogres that has been subverted by the demons. Samanosuke, defeat and seal their souls to your right hand. What? Destroy all the demons!
With that, you have an aneurysm and die on the spot. Nah, I'm just kidding. A quick lesson on enhancing my orbs, and I'm in business. You cross a bridge that's covered in bodies, only to see that the dead have risen, and they have swords. Ah, come on, just drop the spear. Ah, shame. This game's kind of a rarity. It's a horror hack and slash, where you absorb the souls of your enemies and use them to gain strength. The gameplay and general vibe of demonology make it feel like a samurai version of Devil May Cry, and I'm here for it.
Hurry! Monsters! Close the door, now!
But someone is there!
Look at him!
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Open the door! I've killed all the monsters!
This is a good time to mention that this game was originally in Japanese, and I didn't change the speaking animations for the English dub, so it falls into the classic kung fu movie trope of mismatched mouths.
You! Ah! Sorry.
We are very sorry. Please forgive us. The keep may have also been attacked by them.
The keep, eh? Sounds like the type of place
Is it ahead
they'd
of us
keep
that
a
way?
princess.
Right. The forest road there is a shortcut to the keep.
I think those guys back there were just trying to get me killed. Well, joke's on them. I survived the ordeal and claimed the unmatched power of lightning as my prize. Throughout the game, you get 3 distinct magical powers like this one, all of which transform your weapon and your fighting abilities. It's a concept still used often today. You also need to upgrade specific powers to progress through certain doorways, along with finding puzzle items like keys or hidden rope ladders. There are also a number of other puzzle types to gain powerful items, or even sometimes to save yourself. The combat is fun, though a bit simple, but the wide variety of enemies keeps it feeling pretty fresh. And that's about all I have to say for this one. Even though it's the most expensive on today's list, I would highly recommend playing Onimusha Warlords. It's a classical hack and slash with an intriguing horror theme, an exciting progression system, and some serious puzzles. But on the 30 years of horror tier list, this is going to get a B. Cool looking demons and undead, but it's much more of an action game than proper horror. Next, Manhunt, released by Rockstar on November 18th, 2003. This game got quite the notorious reputation when it came out, due to its graphic depictions of violence. Today, it's $10. It opens with a reporter searching for the One
This
Piece.
goes all the way to the top. I can't trust anyone, least of all the police, and time's running out. I've got to get the One Piece footage and testimony of a man who was executed by the state 5 hours ago.
You play as a man who was executed by the state 5 hours ago.
Hey, tough guy, wake up.
Or were you?
You're not dead. Well, not yet.
As the director explains, he spared you from death row so that he could film you getting your second chance.
Another throw of the dice.
And by second chance, he means you're going to walk through a city methodically killing a bunch of people, and he's going to watch while occasionally providing instructions through your handy earpiece.
You're gonna want it because these streets are being patrolled by gangs. They're scum, just like you. And they're here to hunt you down and cut you up. I'll try to direct you as best I can, but other than that, you're on your own. It's up to you. Okay, are you ready? Camera, action.
And this, my friends, is Manhunt. You stealthily approach enemies, stand behind them while holding the kill button down for the right amount of time to maximize your score,
Go on!
see a crass kill animation, rinse and repeat. Now, unlike Onimusha, this game actively discourages melee fighting, making it downright impossible even if you're well armed. So you really have no choice but to hide in the shadows and wait for your opportunity to strike. In all of these ways, Manhunt is almost exactly the same game as Burger King's Sneak King.
So, here I am again, standing...
Thankfully, shadows work much more effectively in the Manhunt universe than they should. Once you enter the shadows, you become completely invisible. And I mean, completely invisible.
Find anything, you just holler.
Vanished like a goddamn ghost.
Each gang has their, let's just call it, their thing. These guys call themselves the Hoods.
So each section of the game has a distinct cast of enemies, all with a matching theme. You can really see that classic Rockstar sense of humor with the different gangs too, like Mr. Fuckerjacket here. There's also the brain-dead white supremacist gang who lives in a junkyard.
We shouldn't have to drag a hard man like you out by the balls.
With, what is that, a Bam Majority t-shirt?
Show yourself, you fairy!
And who could forget the comically well-armed entire Psycho Ward? So at the end of the day, even though it definitely shows its age, Manhunt is still quite the experience.
Damn.
It can get tedious at times, especially during the forced fighting sections, but there are also a lot of moments of genuine tension and suspense, making this the first game on the list I'd consider a true blue horror game. Still, the overall goofiness and occasional lack of logic keeps it soundly in the A tier on this, the 30 Years of Horror tier list. Ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between, I have returned once more to sate your ravenous desire for a horror games tier list this October. Let's not waste any time. First up this time is Pathologic, developed by Ice Pick Lodge and released on June 9th, 2005. It's currently $13.
Natural reveal themselves more often than intelligent and reasonable men would prefer them to. Chimeras, they conceal themselves beneath us, above us, and among us.
Damn, she's got a whole band in that there clarinet. These kids bury their oddly other kid-shaped doll. And it's over. Yeah, I guess not. Talk about an intro sequence. Good load times.
So, it's all about...
Some of the worst screen tearing I've ever seen.
Where have you come from?
It's trickery.
But it's on. VSync is on. Maybe a restart will fix things.
Traces of the supernatural.
Oh God, not again.
So, it's all about trickery to you?
Means you're already inside of him. This...
Looks to be some manner of character select, but I can't select one, and the keyboard isn't doing anything. Perhaps I'll go with the old standby and click the mouse once. Haha. At this point, my computer was completely black-screened and putting out no more audio. Not to worry, it's nothing a quick game restart can't fix.
The circumstances of these tragic events remain...
The torment is ceaseless.
So, it's all about...
I figured it might not have worked last time because I skipped this scene, so this time I sat through it. These 3 character models are animated in super slow motion, but it sounds like they just made the poor voice actors try to emulate that in real time.
Must be one of the ventricles, right here.
What a silly place. It's stuffed. So it's not real for now? I don't think it has started yet.
It makes this opening scene feel like it's just dragging on and on to no end.
I suggest we be on our way. The sooner the better.
Off we go then?
Let's go. The clock is ticking.
Yep, I can see you guys really have a sense of urgency. The age-old dilemma. Haruspecs or bachelor?
Daniil Dankovsky, a Bachelor of Medicine, was brought here by circumstances most unfortunate.
Weren't we all? Oh, oops, sorry.
He gets to know a girl called Eva Yan and stays at her place till dawn.
So he got a letter about immortality, went to a town, and then went to town. Oh, my bad, sorry. Hold on. Even at 700% speed, this takes too long. Nothing's even happening. It's just a bunch of 20-second shots of archaic 3D models walking or looking around. Finally, we're in. I was immediately surprised by the visual quality of Pathologic. The cell looks pretty sharp for 2005. Damn. As it turns out, this game wasn't designed for multi-monitor setups. It doesn't restrict your mouse to the game window while you're playing, and if you click while the mouse is outside the main window, it just crashes everything. I managed to fix the issue, and you know what that means. Gah.
I had a feeling you would come.
Now that it works, we can get into the meat of the gameplay. Incredibly long, static, unvoiced dialogue boxes. I know the studio that made this is Russian, so I'll give credit where credit is due. In spite of the occasionally strange writing structure and plethora of sentences that nobody would ever say in real life, the dialogue is well written, and with proper spelling and grammar. This is especially good, because I wasn't joking earlier. This entire game is static dialogue boxes. Well, okay, that's not quite fair. In between the riveting conversations, you get to explore a world of technical interactivity. As in, yeah, I can technically interact with it. It just won't interact back. The open world is pretty expansive, which couples nicely with the molasses-like movement speed. Oops, wrong house. Oh boy, I sure hope that journey was worth it.
Did you see anything weird on your way here?
Yay, it's more talking. Now I don't just dislike any game that involves a lot of reading. Morrowind, for example, is one of my favorites of all time, and every character in that game will give you 10 paragraphs if you ask about the weather. The difference is, Morrowind is a fun game with a propensity for dialogue. Pathologic is a whole lot of dialogue with the skin of an RPG loosely stretched across it to try and hold it together.
So
why not just make this a visual novel, or a text adventure? It would be quicker and cheaper to produce, and deliver the story in a much more digestible form. This game is like a Call of Duty title where you have to sit through a 40-minute helicopter ride before and after every match. It's like the Fellowship of the Ring, if there were 200 extra chapters dedicated to quietly and uneventfully walking through the countryside and chatting with passers-by. You know, there's a reason the slow, monotonous parts of the story aren't ever included. I'm no expert, but it could be because they're slow and monotonous. I had a glimmer of hope when I found this dead body that had a gun on it. Thankfully, it came in handy. Wait, could it be an enemy? An element of conflict and challenge? Yeah, I knew it was too good to be true. I did manage to have some fun lemon farming. Dumpster diving. And spending some time with the local youth. But 90% of my time was spent slowly walking in absolute silence with fence mazes that served to considerably extend silent walking time. Now that's what I call a video game. And on the 30 years of horror tier list, this gets the first S so far. Not because the game itself scares you, but because its painfully slow nature fills you with such an existential sense of dread when you realize you're wasting precious minutes you'll never get back. And that is truly scary. I know this is kind of an aside, but this game has incredibly positive reviews. I checked, and I just wanted to make note of the fact that almost everyone who has reviewed Pathologic on Steam acts like they're in some kind of abusive relationship with the game. Pathologic is a very unique game. I wouldn't call it fun. Yeah, I'd recommend it. I wanted to love this game. Yeah, you should play it. And this person basically just makes every negative point I talked about, and more. So what do they rate the game? 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10? Middle of the road? Good lord, what'll it take for you people to admit a game sucks? Anyway. For number 2, we've got Barrow Hill, Curse of the Ancient Circle, made by Shadow Tor, and released on April 16th, 2006. Today, it goes for $8. My computer recorded the game in 4:3, which it's supposed to be, I guess, but on my screen it looked like this. And I'm gonna keep it like this, so you can experience the game exactly like I did. The local radio DJ explains that it's the night of the autumn equinox.
No, it's the autumn equinox. An important date in the pagan calendar.
Then, the car you've actually been in this whole time suddenly dies.
4 in a row for you, coming up, right here on
You somehow take 4 steps while you're still in the car. And get out. Just like that, we're into the game. I see. This is a classical point-and-click adventure game with a spooky twist. There are plenty of dark forest paths and hidden chambers to click around in. Unfortunately, the game also takes place in Cornwall, England. A place called Sore Point, to be exact. Yeah, I feel like this one's going to give me a sore point. You can find many objects of intrigue in your travels, like an empty bottle of hair tonic, marine enhanced, next to an empty, running Mercedes. Plus, this has the most interactive bathrooms I've ever seen in a game. You can stare into the open stall through the mirror, watch water drip into the sink, and even turn on the fan. Eventually, you stumble into this visitor center, which tells you all about this area and its connection to mystical large stones. Barrow Hill, that's where I am. The visitor center also includes this radical Barrow Hill jigsaw puzzle. I thought completing it would do something to progress the game, but nope, it's just a jigsaw puzzle. As with most point-and-clicks, this game has you find and combine various items as you play, like lighting this lantern to see in dark areas by using the matches you found earlier. Aha, at long last. Light. And as a nice bonus, they got some top-tier vocal talent for the one character I encountered.
Who's that?
Oh, it's you. Don't you know what's out there? I hear it. The voices in my head. They echo on and on and on and on and on. Timeless, fearless, faceless. It's heavy with sleep after feeding. It'll wake soon. It'll come for you. I hope you're next. Then maybe it'll leave me alone. Maybe it was you all along. Murderer, murderer. They were just arriving. They'd just driven in and it caught them, burnt them, cut them down as they ran. It happened in seconds. It couldn't have been real. I must have been dreaming. Get away from me!
And I think he's my favorite character so far.
Leave me alone! Go away!
This game also features some of the most spine-chilling horror I've ever seen. Be warned, this next scene is not for the faint of heart. Oh no. What could be lurking in this darkness? It's just a big-ass rock. That's right, the main antagonists of this game are, in fact, large sentient boulders. So overall, this title's not for everyone, but if you like point-and-click games, and or just want an interesting experience with some proper October spookiness, I'd recommend it. However, in spite of the big rock jump scare which nearly gave me a heart attack, this is going to land comfortably within the C tier on the 30 Years of Horror tier list. Next on the list is Legendary, developed by Spork, or Spark Unlimited, and released on October 24th, 2008. It'll run you $6, or 71 cents if you're quick. Blech. Gamecock? Gamecock? You can't make this stuff up. Nice. Unreal. Alright. We got the AMBX. That's good. Oh, sweet. Digitally mastered. Uh-oh. Yeah, sure, GameSpy. Yeah. What? Okay, we're in.
Pandora's box, according to ancient myth, was a gift from the gods.
Sweet.
That was the myth. The truth, unfortunately, was far worse. The real Pandora's box was a device of incredible power. LeFay initiated a plan for our organization, the Black Order, to recover Pandora's box before the Council could react. hiring an intermediary that wasn't under their surveillance. Charles Deckard was a thief, a career criminal who sold his expertise to the highest bidder.
You play as good old Chuck Deckard, a man with renownedly expert thieving skills. God, why'd they make him look so much like a weird baby in this scene? No. Unfortunately, it seems our buddy Dick Kickard just looks like that. Could this perhaps be the giant golden box I was told to find? Hand. This has got to be the worst thief of all time. He just sprayed his own blood all over the crime scene, not to mention all the fingerprints. Damn you, left hand. It's all your fault. Not 10 seconds into the gameplay, and I see this. Pandora's box is branded your left hand with the signet. You now have the ability to absorb Animus energy. All I know now is that the Black Order hired me to fill my signet with Animus energy. You can't just keep throwing quirky lore terms at me without actually explaining what anything means. Oh, it means I can heal. Okay. Seriously? Right now? Should checking my email really be my main priority here? What? Get out of the museum? No. Really? It's not like you're actively stopping me from doing that. To tell me to do that, I mean, that would be crazy. Oh man, these guys are really running for their lives. Just look at that desperation. My favorite part of this game so far is standing still and slowly absorbing this energy that I need. It really works great with a fast-paced action game like this. Oh, that's just unfortunate. Huh? Never should have opened that box. Oh, hey, human shield.
My God, Deckard! What does that mean?
Worth a shot. Time for some expert thievery. Oop. Yes, surely shorting out an electronic lock would open the door and not just cause it to lock indefinitely. Okay, now you're just hamming it up. Alright, you want me back at the end with that jump. Oh, hold on. Got some new emails. The mythological griffin was a noble creature with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. As far as actual gameplay goes, this one kind of confuses me. It feels like they wanted to make it feel super fast-paced, with the high movement speed and massive sprinting leap you can do, but every single item and interactable requires you to just stand still for a really long time. They've given me crates full of ammo, but I haven't had a single thing to shoot at yet. until finally I found it. An enemy. Alright, so it's some kind of lava lizard. Not a bad design. Oh hey, another one. Oh hey, another one. Oh hey, another one. Uh-oh. There's something behind that door, and it sounds a whole lot meaner than a lava lizard. Oh no, it's a really veiny, hairless werewolf. Oh hey look, another one. Ooh, what's the gimmick for these little guys? Standing still and waiting to be able to shoot them? Fun. This here spooky crypt level was my final straw. I'd put hours into the game, using a plethora of weapons and strategies against, the same 4 enemies over and over again, being forced to entertain the game's fetish for quietly standing still when I finally got a glimmer of hope. Some new creatures afoot, one that even the werewolves are scripted to fear. Ooh, what's it gonna be? Wow, the same werewolf, but with some hair. Is it at least stronger? Nope. This game is honestly so bad it's good. It's got some cool ideas, but the execution on everything is just so comically terrible that this quote-unquote horror shooter had me laughing harder than I have at any game for quite some time now. And on the 30 years of horror tier list, it's getting a D. I can tell they tried, just not hard enough. Second to last on the list is Singularity, developed by Raven and released June 25th, 2010. Nowadays it's $30, good lord. I've been replaying Snake Eater recently, and I think that game had a big influence on the way the story in this is presented.
1945, the Soviet Union continues to expand in both military might and political influence.
Soviet Russia holds a commanding position in the future destiny of the world.
But it was the United States that held the secret to atomic power.
Colonel, you're telling me we rely on our nuclear superiority?
All over the world.
This superiority would be short-lived, however.
Fuck.
Stalin was already at work on a plan of his own.
Intel says this bird's been abandoned for 50 years.
Sorry, could you speak up a little bit? I can't hear you too well over the COD music.
Spartan team, maintain present speed and heading. Copy that, Titan 1.
You see that?
What, the giant hand and sickle? Nah, I missed it.
2-1, Spartan 2-1, we're reading a radiation spike on your vector.
Shit, it's an EMP!
Aw, man, he was my favorite. I also don't know why my screen was cut in half that whole time, but it mostly stops with that cutscene. Unfortunately, this is one of those games where just about every room has a random page full of lore dump. Makes you wonder who left this obviously confidential letter out on the counter by the visitor center. Also, this facility shut down decades ago. You're telling me this one loose sheet of paper sat outside for years on end, next to the ocean, and only ended up lightly torn? I need me some of that Russian paper. You get to explore this abandoned research facility and learn about exactly what it was they were researching. I don't want to give too much away, but it's immediately clear that something supernatural is going on.
Help! Help!
soon you end up phasing between timelines like nobody's business. The horror ambience as you move throughout the island is pretty effective, and there were some scares I didn't expect. This is getting much closer to the standards of horror shooters today. Even the basic enemies are tough enough that they don't have to throw 60 of them at you as random fodder, like in Legendary. Instead, just coming across 2 of them was pretty intense. At least, that's how it is at first. Tragically, this game is a victim of what I like to call the American solution. You see, it's scary until they hand you 65 automatic weapons and literally turn the game into Call of Duty. Where are the monsters? What happened to all that tension you were building? I know it's 2010, but do we really need another generic action shooter? And then they give you that gravity gun from Half-Life? Yeah, I don't know, they really just threw in a little bit of everything. I would still call this a good game. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. It just seems like it had the potential to be a groundbreakingly amazing game if they just picked the genre and stuck with it. And on the old reliable 30 years of horror tier list, this will land in B. The intro is almost S tier, but the codification brings it way down. Finally, we have Knock Knock. I'm usually one for second chances, so this game was made by Ice Pick Lodge, the same folk that made Pathologic. Came out October 4th, 2013, and it's a clean $10. It starts with a sort of disclaimer. What you see before you is not exactly what one would call a game. Well, that's a good start. I really like the design of the main character. He plays this spiky-headed individual woken in the middle of the night by strange sounds. I found that the style of dialogue in this game, though a bit silly, kind of helps to solidify the notion that nothing is real and you have no idea what's actually happening. Switch level is effectively a different night, and you beat most of them by lasting until 6 AM. The gameplay is composed entirely of walking around, turning on lights, and opening doors. In spite of this, Knock Knock is one of my favorite games on the tier list so far. It's able to do quite a lot with so little, and can prove absolutely terrifying at times, especially in the beginning when you don't quite understand the game yet. Just take this next scene for example.
Is there anybody home? Anyone at all?
I had never heard this voice before, so I decided to hide behind the bed. Big mistake.
And now, your turn.
Are you afraid?
There's a mechanic where you have to stand in a room with your eyes closed to let them adjust, so that you can see hidden items and furniture. Of course, this can also become quite hazardous. I don't even know what got me there. This is another one where I don't want to dive too deep into everything you see, just in case you want to experience this for yourself. So I'll just say I rate it quite highly, and I've honestly never seen another game like this, with the randomly generated house each time you wake up, having to fix the lights and such. As for the 30 years of horror tier list, this one gets a comfortable A. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's time for my third and final entry into the 30 years of horror tier list. First, but not least, is Dying Light, developed by Techland and released January 26, 2015. I know this $50 entry immediately breaks my own rule number 3, but since the third game in the series just came out a few weeks ago, I figured I'd start by showing off its predecessor.
The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Haran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen. The Ministry of Defense believes more radical action should be taken to stem the tide of this virus.
The question is, are there still non-infected survivors in the city as the GRE maintains?
You play as a non-infected survivor in the city, as the GRE maintains.
To annihilate the city in an attempt to wipe out the Haran virus once and for all.
Whether by way of the virus or the Ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Haran's days are numbered.
Can't quite place my finger on it, but something tells me I'm only seeing 75% of the screen. Boy, I love PC gaming. Gotta turn off the full screen to make full screen work. What I said earlier was true. You are one of the survivors in the city that will soon be annihilated by the local government.
Okay, give me a sec.
However, you also work for the Global Relief Effort, or GRE. They're the ones who sent you here in the first place.
I'm on a mission to get Antizin from the airdrop. If I don't succeed, they'll have to come up with something else.
Acknowledged. Be sure to call us immediately if and when you get that Antizin. So if you find an airdrop containing Antizin, destroy it.
What? Why?
Wait a minute. Destroying the anti-zombie drug? That doesn't sound like it would provide global relief.
But there are civilians depending on this stuff.
Duplicity aside, the gameplay consists of helping out various local survivors.
First of all, you did great out there. From now on, if you need
while avoiding the hordes of ravenous undead and gangs of ill-mannered humans.
Don't try to fight them. Just find the second one. Look for the smoke from the flare. The crate should be close by.
I tried to fight them. The main draw of this game is its incredibly free-flowing movement and combat, which makes even just walking around the map feel fresh and fun every time. There are few games where just getting to your next objective is the most fun part, and even fewer where that's a good thing. Dying Light ticks both of those boxes comfortably. And although it's largely action-focused, there's certainly moments where the horror shines through. Oh no, I best get out of here. Ow. So at the end of the day, there's not much to say. Other than that, a physics-based zombie parkour playground is just a plain fun time. And upon the most prolific 30 years of horror tier list, this one's getting a B. Still mostly action, much like the other two in this tier. Second, we have GYLT, created by Tequila Works and released November 19th, 2019. It'll run you $20. It starts out super dark.
I can't believe it's been over a month now.
You're this young girl who's putting up missing person posters for an even younger girl, your 7-year-old cousin who's been missing for over a month. Obviously, this would be a traumatic experience for anyone, let alone an elementary schooler.
Most people lost hope after a few weeks. They just stopped looking.
Which makes it absolutely hilarious 20 minutes into this game, when you find your missing cousin and are completely unfazed.
Is that Emily? All this time, was she hiding at school? I don't understand. Why would Emily hide at school?
No relief, no strong emotion, just, she's at school, that's weird. Anyway, this game focuses on the damage that can be done by children being bullied. In this case, a message that's made immediately, comically, and gratuitously clear.
Hey, Sally! You still looking for your cousin?
What'd you do to her?
Haha, still looking for your little cousin that probably got kidnapped? What a loser, let's chase her down. Like, come on, man, does anybody really suck that bad? Throughout the game, you venture through the night exploring various parts of the town, and quickly realizing that something drastic has happened.
What's going on here?
Even the Earth itself has been altered, and there are no people to be found. But the lack of humans doesn't mean you're alone. Yeah, I don't really know what this has to do with bullying anymore. There are a number of strange creatures, some to interact with, and many from which to desperately hide.
No, please go away.
I think that's what makes the horror in this game so effective. There are no large caliber firearms or steroid-drenched super soldiers. You're just a scared little girl with a flashlight in a world of incomprehensible monsters. The puzzle rooms call to mind classics like the Resident Evil series, but your almost total lack of combat ability continually serves to elevate that feeling of tension, sometimes even past those games, despite the fact that they're all much more gruesome and violent than this is. It's another title that does so much with so little, proving the power of discretion and contrast in horror. And so, on the 30 Years of Horror tier list, this one gets an A. Next up, Resident Evil 8 Village, released by Capcom on May 7th, 2021. Damn, it's cheaper than Dying Light, only $40. I don't want to go too easy on myself. How about hardcore?
Long ago, a young girl went with her mother to pick berries for her father.
You play as a young girl who went... Nah, I'm just kidding.
Gifts we gave, but
You play the most terrifying role of all. A responsible father and husband.
in a blink.
Mia, get down!
Whoops. My bad. You play as a responsible father.
All clear. Rose? What the hell are you doing with my daughter?
You play as a dude named Ethan.
I said get your hands off her! Ethan.
Yeah. Man, these Europeans sure do have a strange sense of decoration. He's probably the one who put those crows there.
Where the hell am I?
This place looks proper spooky. It's a good thing I brought my trusty CSGO knife. And at this point, I have to address the elephant in the room. My screen is tearing like wrapping paper on Christmas morning in this footage. It wasn't happening on my screen, so I had no idea that video capture was having some serious issues with my impressive movement speed in 4K. And you're just gonna have to deal with it, you little pee-pee piss boy. There's nothing you or I can do about it. Plus, you can still see every vein, pore, and crease on the man's hand, so no more complaining from you. Resilient fella, aren't you?
Oh no. They're coming. Who is? What the hell was that? You have a gun? What? Please tell me you have a gun. No, why would I? Shit! No. Get back!
And that's why I always carry a gun.
What the hell?
Or two. Why would I want to run? As you can see, this game runs into an issue we've discussed before, what I like to call the American solution, where they give you so many guns in a horror game that even the spookiest monsters can be quickly reduced to pincushions. Granted, in the normal game you don't get these super powerful guns with unlimited ammo, so the conservation of your resources is a key contributor to the horror and fun of the game. But everything else pales in comparison to the most spine-tinglingly horrifying element of this game by far. Oh no. 3 hot monster girls pushing me around. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
Mother, I bring you fresh prey.
You are so kind to me, daughters. Now, let's take a look at him.
Whoa, Mama.
Wow. Well, Ethan Winters.
S tier. No further explanation needed. Utterly horrifying.
Starting to go a little stale.
Then let's devour his man flesh quickly, Mother.
Bloodiest games really outdid themselves with this one. Valued at $35, it's MADiSON, released July 8th, 2022. It only took 15 tier list entries and 28 years to reach a pure, scary horror game. You play as Luca, a 16-year-old boy going through the classical awkwardness of adolescence, like waking up in a strange, alternate reality only to find you've done unspeakable things to your own family members.
Family. Your own blood.
No. This can't be happening. God.
At its core, this is a sort of puzzle game, where you have to find and use various items, often in mind-bending ways, in order to progress through the story. But seriously, I was a bit crunched for time when I recorded this, so I had to use a walkthrough to make quick progress, and some of the solutions you have to come up with are completely out of left field. It also helps that the solution to almost every puzzle is randomly generated each time you start a new game, so many of the walkthrough steps are essentially just figure it out.
My birthday present? How did it get here?
This camera plays a key role in both the gameplay and story. All I can really say without giving away too much of the plot is, your family must absolutely despise you if they gave you this thing as a birthday present. It's not exactly much of a spoiler since it happens in the first 3 minutes of the game. This camera is essentially ultra-haunted and has the power to alter the game world when you snap certain pictures. I'm just doing what Outcast told me to. MADiSON excels at building genuine tension to the point where it can make even goofy tropes quite frightening.
Fuck. This storm must have taken out the power. I think Grandpa had a generator in the basement.
Of course, the old generator in the basement routine. And I don't want to go down to the basement. And even with its indie status, it has a few true AAA gaming moments. There's not much more to say without getting into major spoilers, so instead, I figured I'd just show off some of what this game does best. Making you uncomfortable.
God, the smell. The water is disgusting. What am I doing? God.
So if any of that seemed particularly appealing to you, there's a whole lot more where that came from in MADiSON. And as far as the 30 years of horror tier list, this one lends a solid A. Legitimately spooky, but there are just a few elements that hold it back from that perfect score. It's a miracle this next one even got made. It's Killer Klowns from Outer Space, the game, released June 4th, 2024. This $40 title was made by TerraVision Games, a small studio in the heart of Columbia. And I gotta say, they did an outstanding job creating an asymmetric shooter based on a 36-year-old cult horror classic. The question becomes, do we really need another asymmetric shooter based on a 36-year-old cult horror classic? The game is well built, the graphics and sound are sharp, and there are some goofy kill animations which do add a lot to the experience. But every aspect of this game is one-to-one with what Friday the 13th the game, Evil Dead the game, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game did years earlier. This feels like an exact PG-13 reskin of one of those, making it inherently lamer. People are already tired of the oversaturation in the asymmetric horror market ever since Dead by Daylight blew up, so I honestly do feel bad for TerraVision Studio. This probably felt like their big break, only to be quietly swept under the rug by the mere passage of time. There is a pretty unique feature where dead survivors can play these minigames in order to get items for those who still live. It works especially well with the 3 school-aged children still playing this game.
I just gave you a revolver, which you... This guy's got nothing but revolver ammo. Children in video games.
The Klowns are much more fun to play as, and they've won every single match I've played. Then again, the low player count causes the human team to often be at least halfway populated by relatively brainless bots, and that definitely factors in. Other than that, I don't have much to say. It works and all the servers are still currently up, so if you're just a die-hard KK Foss fan, give this one a try. If not, And on the classic 30 years before tier list, this one's getting a D. Even the movie is kind of known more as a comedy. Second to last is the second game on the list that starts with an M and uses stylized capitalization. Developed by iHosto, it's MiSide. It was released December 11th, 2024. Definitely the scariest menu so far. Better use my real name for immersion. No need to be so formal. Call me John. So this is horror gaming in the 2020s. Picking up a hot girl's clothes for her while she stands and watches. Oh, now I'm buying her soup. Spending genuine time with this woman, doing things together. Yeah, immediate S tier. Terrifying, no questions asked. Oh god, another hot vampire girl. Not again. Why? You're going to want to put on your headphone for this final title, developed by Dark Phobia Games. The Lightkeeper. Released September 7th, 2025. It's a very reasonable $8. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Plato. From the very beginning, this presents itself as equal parts game and cinematic experience.
I came here for the work. Thought distance would drown the past.
It wouldn't.
I was wrong.
Called it.
The ones who came before me, their faces said more than words ever.
Well, that's not really fair. Their faces? The one guy just looked a bit stern, but I'm pretty sure Palo the Goblin over there probably caused whatever horrors are on this island by himself. This game looks absolutely beautiful. I know it's to be expected since it's the most modern one that'll be on this list, but even compared to some of the offerings from 2024, the graphics really shine. Get it? Shine. It's the lighthouse. Each day you take on the duties of an average 1920s lighthouse keeper, like turning off the foghorn. Along with learning a lot about local history. And of course, experiencing reality-bending horrors far beyond your comprehension. Seriously, just look at the style in this scene. It's so simple and yet such impactful imagery. The slow walk towards the three crosses manages to build some serious tension even in itself. And then, like nothing happened, you awake to another pristine morning on the island. But it's still abundantly clear that not all is well. Yet no bird carries an omen as grave as the crow. Among keepers, none doubt its curse. Should you ever glimpse the living crow upon this lonely rock, be warned, calamity is at hand. Man. And though there are certainly a fair few jump scares, most of the horror is properly tactful and tense, making you feel vaguely unsafe on the island instead of just having one big greasy monster. I would highly recommend this game. It's definitely a bit short, running similar in length to a feature film, but almost every minute of the experience is pure cinema. And as for the 30 years of horror tier list, this one reaches comfortably to the top of A tier. Seriously spooky, but tragically lacking in attractive monster girls. Unless you count that. I won't judge. And so it was. The 2025 30 Years of Horror tier list was complete, and prolific YouTuber Dale Jackson06 could go back to not uploading for several months at a time. If you like this series, let me know by commenting or even just tossing me a like or two. Otherwise, that's it.